Greetings, my fellow game devs! Welcome to the channel and welcome to the ORK Framework 3 tutorial series for Unity. Regardless if you are a brand new developer just getting into Unity or an existing developer just looking for ways to expedite your product launch and ways to reduce the overall workload that you have to do, I personally think that this would be a great product for you. But in the meantime, let's jump over to the video and we'll get started with all of the tutorials and the how-tos. And hey folks, before we get started, I just want to let you know that in the comments below there will be links to the tutorial that we're going over as well as any downloads that are used in the video. So we'll jump over to it and we'll get started.
Alrighty folks, welcome back to the Unity 6 ORK Framework 3 2D RPG tutorial series. So today's video we're going to go ahead and get a couple things set up, just some initial settings. We're going to set up some basics for some 2D games, game controls, and some other small things. We'll set up a player group settings, so faction and size, game controls, input keys, some sound types. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Now in the previous videos, one thing we did not do is we did not show you how to get ORK Framework here. That's okay, we're doing that in this video. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Window, up top here. There we go. And then we're going to go to Gaming is Love. You'll notice there's a lot of different things that's on here, and that's okay. We are just going to load the ORK Framework right here. It does its thing, it loads up, and then if you click this little tab, you can move it and dock it wherever you want. I like to keep it docked up top because there's a lot of information inside of the ORK framework and a lot of tabs that we have to go through. If you're using multiple monitors, you can even pull it off to the side, set it, however you want it, but we'll go with this for now. So, now that we have ORK in, let's keep going. Now you can also, if you're a hotkey kind of person, Control, Alt, M will pull up the editor. So, basic settings, let's get into that. So we're going to go across the top here. You got a lot of different control tabs that you can use, but we're going to go to Game, and then on Game, we want to make sure that we're in the Game Settings folder, and then we're going to go to Base Settings. Before we go too far in this, I'm going to show you a couple little quick tricks. Up at the top, you'll see a couple of different arrows and jump lists, and you can also show fold-out buttons. So click that, you'll see that goes away. These right here. These are the two that I like. One expands and one contracts, all fold-outs. So let's close them all up. So what we want to focus on is base settings. So you can either A, just click here, or up top, and before we do that, you click the base settings. You'll see we can still scroll down and look at all the others because we're looking at all the settings. If you just want base settings, you click that tab right there, and that's all you're going to get. So, anyhow, back to this. Base settings. Because we are in a 2D game, we need to change the horizontal plane from the X and Z to the X and Y. Our players will be going up and down, left and right. They will not be going front to back. So that's the Z axis. So we need to ignore that for now. We're also going to change the raycast type. Now, we have a couple of options. First 2D, first 3D, only 2D, and only 3D. Using first 2D, we'll check with 2D raycasting first and fall back to 3D raycasting if nothing was hit. You'll use that in case you're mixing 2D and 3D physics in your game. Using only 2D, it's only going to check the 2D raycastings. For the game that we're going to be setting up here, either one's fine, doesn't matter. But we're going to go ahead and go with only 2D. Now, what we're going to do, let's close that up. We're going to scroll down to the bottom or click this little button up here and go to the ORK Game Settings. Now in here you can see, hello, there we go. We've got a lot of different things that are in here, and let's just do it like this. So a few things that we want to change, and we're going to expand all of these for you to make your life a little easier. Let's check out what happens on the game over. next. But first, we need to select the player's faction and set the battle group. So under player settings, you'll see default faction is set to none. We'll set that to player. The group size, we're going to do 2. If you want to have 4 players or 5 players in your group, that's fine. You just got to change that setting in here. So there's that one. Easy peasy, right? Let's go ahead and go down to the game over settings. And actually, before we, yeah, we'll go to the game over settings. We'll do another video that covers all the settings and what each one does. So it should pretty much already be set for you. Game over, we don't want to have a choice. It's over, it's over. And we want to load the start menu scene. So we want to make sure disabled show choice, enabled load start menu scene. If you want the show choice up there, game over choice dialog will get displayed. So, you know, game over, continue, how you ever want to set that up. You can set it between retry, load, and exit. Your choices, but for this game, we're not going to give a choice, and if they die, they're just going to go back to the main menu. Now, we are going to jump under game controls. So up top, base control, make sure we're in the game controls tab, and we're going to go to the ORK control settings, and let's just focus on that for now. The player control type, you can change between button, mouse, none, and top-down 2D. None, no control is added. You have to add your own components to the player prefab. So you got to do like a player controller script, right? We're not going to do that in here. We're going to do something different. If you do button, keyboard, joystick controls are used to move the player using a character controller component. The mouse controls are used to move the player with that one. And depending on your control type selection, you're going to have different settings available to you. So if we go and we take a little looky-loo here, see if we can get down there really fast. Of course, it's not going to work. This is one thing that I take issue with. You'll notice that if I try to go over here and look at settings, anytime you mouse over something, it erases what you want to read. So keep that in mind. For this video, though, we're going to use a top-down 2D controller. Move dead, you can control the player even when the player combatant is dead. I would say for now, let's just go ahead and leave that checked. You know, later on we're gonna do stuff with that. Combatant speed is fine, gravity is fine, smoothing is fine, but we need to change the vertical and horizontal axis. Now this is already pre-populated with a couple of controls in here. So vertical axis, vertical move, horizontal axis, horizontal move. These will automatically be set by ORK. You just make sure, you just have to assign them in here. We also need to set the rotate Z axis. And that's because our players are going to be turning on the Z axis. So if you were to picture the Z axis, actually let's show you a, let's see, a 3D object. Let's do a cube, right? We'll focus in on this really quick. Focus in on that. So we'll get out of 2D. Here is your y-axis, here is your x-axis, and here is your z-axis. Now if we look at it in 2D, and we go to move this, here's your y, here is your x, and your z will go towards you and away from you. The reason why we want it to rotate on the z-axis, so let's go over here and look at it from this side. So this is kind of what we were looking at there. We want our player to rotate, and I'm grabbing a little blue in here, we want it to rotate around this way. That way they're changing whether they're looking at the X or the Y or, you know, somewhere in between. So that's why we're setting up the enable on the rotate Z axis. Now, let's moving right along. Let's go to camera controls. Camera control type will be changed to a top-down border. And we're going to enable border camera edge. This stops the camera's edge. So when you're moving your camera left to right, it'll actually stop the camera from continuing right to show outside of the scene. Now, that's that's what that's for. Let's do input keys. This is going to be kind of the controls, if you will. To follow along with the tutorial, we're going to keep things exactly like the tutorial has it. So let's change the accept button first. Now at top, you've got a couple of different things. Content information, so what's the key name? Key settings, and input ID settings. This is what we need to change. So it's already set to key code, which is what we want to do. The positive key, we're going to change that to space. Sometimes it doesn't listen, so you just have to type in the word that you're after. There you go. Now, let's show you how to make one of these from scratch. Let's go over here and click the Add button. We'll go back to All Settings. And let's name this Menu. So we're going to click Edit Text and just type in Menu. Very important portion here, something to keep in mind. When you are done typing your text, make sure to hit OK so you have that. Otherwise, when you're typing in the next line, it can mess this up. So now, let's jump over to the input settings. We want to change the input origin to a key code. This is going to use, basically, it's going to register the key itself. So a key combo sequence, shall we say. This kind of gives you the breakdown of what it looks like here. Now, the positive key, we're just going to go ahead and use it as the F1. Input handling, we're going to keep it set to down, so when the key is pressed down, you can also change it to hold or up, so when you let the button go. Either one, but again, we're going to just keep it for down for now. Over here on the left, we're going to make a couple of sound types. So really there's no settings in this other than the name. So let's go ahead and change some of these names. So we're going to change the default. We're going to call it attack. We're going to add 2 more. So we clicked add twice. We're going to change this one to hit. And we're going to name the last one to death. There we go. Next thing, final thing for this video, I'm going to leave y'all with this. Save settings will be your friend. Make sure to constantly hit your save. If you were to change off of this tab or hit play or something like that, you can lose all the work that you've done. I've done it. I've lost a couple of hours worth of work because I was a goofball and forgot to hit that button. So we'll hit save settings. You can create a backup if you want. You can not. It's up to you. It creates a backup of the old data before saving any changes. The backup's only created if the number of backups is set to 1 or higher in the editor. And basically, editor is greater than the backups. Please note that creating a backup will significantly increase the time needed for saving. That's okay, it doesn't take forever. It's going to show you a list of all of the changes that you've made right here. Here we go. The following data will change. Prefab saver, and it's just a lot of stuff that's in here that we've already adjusted. Pretty irrelevant. Go ahead and hit confirm. All right, y'all. That is it for the initial setup. Until next time, we'll catch you over in the next video. As always, if you have questions, comments, concerns, you can reach out to me on any of my social media, or you can reach out to me directly through this video. Links for all of the descriptions are down in the, links for all the social medias, sorry, are down in the description, as well as the link to the tutorial for this video. So until next time, happy coding.
Thanks for checking out this video for the ORK Framework tutorial series. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to throw a question down in that comment box, or you can hop into any of the live streams and catch me live and ask me live while I'm there. If this video did help you out in any way, shape, fashion, or form, make sure to smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. That being said, I hope you guys have an amazing day. Good luck on all of your future projects. And until next time, happy developing.